This former AEW World Champion has held talks with WWE, and we find out what CM Punk has told All Elite Wrestling during his absence. But first, Dante Martin's recent leg break at the ROH Supercard of Honor show sparked debate over the risks some wrestlers take during their matches, with there seemingly being a lack of filter on what some are willing to do to their bodies. One of these debates took place on the Keeping It 100 podcast this week, where AAA booker Conan would be asked if he ever speaks to his wrestlers about toning things down for non-major shows. Conan would then reveal discussions he's had with his world champion El Hijo del Vikingo regarding this, with him even asking recent WWE Hall of Fame inductee Rey Mysterio to speak to him too, and Conan would say, "Not only have I told him, I had Rey Mysterio tell him. He already needs a knee operation and Rey has had 14, so I told him to talk to Rey, and Rey's giving him some very good advice, because I want that guy to last. He's talented and he's a good kid." Vice's Dark Side of the Ring is set to return for its 4th season later this year, with the network making this official last night. The series that takes a look at the darker, more controversial side of wrestling will come back on May 30th, with there set to be 10 brand new weekly episodes centered around certain wrestlers and incidents from the industry's past. Variety would report some information regarding the upcoming season, noting some of the topics that will be under the microscope this time around, with him noting, "The official description of the 4th season states that it will explore stories like the emotional roller coaster of one of wrestling's most captivating and controversial couples, Chris Candido and Tammy Sunny Sitch, the car accident that derailed the career of future world champion Magnum TA, wrestling's most unhinged monster Abdullah the Butcher, a focused look at the troubled life of Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels' former tag team partner, and much more." Three giants of Japanese wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and Pro Wrestling Noah, are set to link up later this year to promote one major show, with the news breaking during a press conference earlier today. The event, titled All Together Again, will take place inside Sumo Hall on June 9th, with a portion of the proceeds being donated to charity. The three companies have long been rivals, fighting for the top spot in Japanese wrestling. However, they will once again link up as a trio for the first time since February 2012. With Noah and NJPW having linked up as recently as this year. Historically, New Japan and All Japan have had an on and off relationship, whilst Noah was founded following a mass exodus of All Japan's top stars in the year 2000. With that said, all three entities will once again unite for a good cause. On last night's episode of NXT, one of the brand's top stars would pay tribute to a former AEW World Champion during her promo addressing her latest rival. To set the stage, last week on NXT, Cora Jade would return to the Black and Gold brand to take out new NXT Women's Champion Indy Hartwell, an attack she addressed this week on the show. During the segment, she would pay tribute to two former WWE superstars, one of which currently resides in All Elite Wrestling. The opening line of the promo would see her use an infamous line from the build to Money in the Bank 2011, and you could probably see where this is going, where they're saying, "Do I have everybody's attention now?" This is of course in reference to CM Punk's promo the week after the infamous Las Vegas pipe bomb, with him laying out his plan to leave the company with the world title when his contract expired on July 17th. Cora would then give a nod to AJ Lee, who is not only Punk's wife, but is another of her idols, when she closed with the line, "Indy, this isn't your little fairy tale, this is my NXT, and I am the hero of this story." This is similar to an AJ Lee promo back when she was Divas champion. Cora has been photographed with both Lee and Punk in the past when she was growing up as a fan, with them clearly inspiring her to step into the ring herself, with her once again paying homage to those that paved the way. And before we continue, why not drop a like down below if you're enjoying the video, and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss the latest wrestling news, as we try to reach 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But with that said, let's get to the next story. At ROH Supercard of Honor, the AEW contract of Brian Cage would come to an end, leading to the expectation that he, Toa Leona, and Korn were set to drop the ROH 6-man tag titles. In the end, however, the Embassy would retain in their match against AR Fox, Blake Christian, and Metalik, although no new deal was yet to be agreed. Well, that has now changed, as according to Fightful Select, Brian Cage has signed a new contract with All Elite Wrestling, which has been described as a long-term, multi-year deal. Fightful would add that several top talents had pushed for Cage to re-sign, but there was also top top talent in WWE who were angling for him to end up there. There is said to have been some interest from WWE in bringing Cage in, however he ended up liking the offer made by AEW, with he and his agent choosing them instead. Pfeiffer would conclude by noting that the deal was agreed to in principle a couple of weeks ago, which is when he linked up with Swerve Strickland and the Mogul affiliates. This Sunday, AAA will host the first Triple Mania event of the year, a show that will see the company's biggest stars head to Monterrey, Mexico. One name that was in talks to be on the show was former AAA Mega Champion Kenny Omega, who is of course under contract with AEW. AAA booker Conan would speak with House of Wrestling this week to discuss why the deal for an Omega appearance fell through, with it being linked to Omega's ongoing negotiations over a new contract. And he would say, well, originally we were going to bring in Kenny Omega, but he was still negotiating with AEW and he wasn't sure if he was going to stay or not. So we couldn't commit. He didn't want to commit to our show until he signed, so that was out the window. After that, we asked for a couple people from AEW, they weren't available, and then we asked for another guy and he was hurt. And so basically who we ended up getting is Swerve Strickland. Conan would then reveal that Kenny has been in talks with WWE over a potential move there, whilst also renegotiating with AEW, and added, I'm assuming he's re-signed. I never really asked him, but there are plans for him in the future, so I'm thinking he's already re-signed, you know? He wasn't sure if he was going to stay and WWE was talking with him, so we couldn't get him to commit. It's worth noting that Omega reportedly had time added on to his current deal that was originally set to expire in January due to time missed thanks to injury, with no reports currently emerging that any new deal has been agreed to. Despite his 220-day absence from All Elite Wrestling, CM Punk has continued to dominate the wrestling news headlines, with his future in the company and the industry as a whole being up for question following the events of AEW All Out 2022, the subsequent injury, media scrum, and the backstage fight with the Elite. Well, Punk's name is on the lips of fans once again, with many wondering if he'll be on the card for the upcoming AEW All-In pay-per-view at Wembley Stadium in London, England, with there being plenty of tickets to sell for the show. FTR's Dax Harwood would take to his podcast this week to discuss the matter, with him noting the name value CM Punk holds not only in AEW but in wrestling as a whole, and said, the reason I'm fantasy booking CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite is because outside of Roman Reigns, and you can please correct me if I'm wrong, outside of Roman Reigns, and maybe this is not including the likes of Brock Lesnar or Logan Paul or whatever, but outside of Roman Reigns and maybe Cody Rhodes, the biggest name in professional wrestling right now is CM Punk, right? Definitely the biggest name in AEW, so if we want to take AEW to the next level, if we're here to work for AEW, if we're here to make professional wrestling better because of AEW, the way you do that is to take the biggest star that you have and one of the biggest stars in the world, and you put them on the card and you make money with them. Dax would then reveal that Punk himself does want to get back into the ring despite some doubts to the contrary, with him concluding, I talk to Punk almost every day and Punk misses wrestling. That's your headline. Punk misses wrestling and Punk wants to come back. And he wants to give back to the fans, he wants to get back to wrestling, so I'll leave it at that. On top of this, earlier today, Fightful Select released a report confirming that CM Punk has communicated to AEW that he's willing to return to the company, noting that he's even open to working with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, turning Shoot Heat into a storyline, and the report notes, Fightful Select learned that Punk has laid out numerous scenarios in which he'd return. Among those includes a willingness to work with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. However, we've heard that at least as of a few months ago, Omega and Bucks didn't seem keen on doing that for obvious reasons. We're not sure if that's changed as AEW has progressed on landing new deals with them. Punk has also expressed his willingness to return to work for All Elite Wrestling and keep completely separate from the Elite along the way. There were some talents that were of the belief that the rumored upcoming Saturday AEW show could be used to help facilitate that, with some separation to the AEW roster, but that's not something higher-ups in AEW have confirmed to us. On top of this, the report notes that Punk has been open to working for other promotions, although it's not entirely clear if this is referring to AEW-related companies like Ring of Honor or even New Japan Pro Wrestling, or perhaps non-affiliated companies like WWE. As of now, there is still no word on if there is any plans for a match between CM, FTR, and the Elite at Wembley Stadium, the match Dax Harwood is pushing for. And before you go, make sure you check out the 10 free agents that are set to shake up WrestleMania season.